Anybody who's going through heart surgery is going through a period of anxiety, not sure what to expect, and that's why a visit from a veteran of the heart surgery, a volunteer who's been trained as well, like a mended heart volunteer, is so valuable to our patients and to our family. I mean, they've been there, done that, and they've gone through it. So it has to make a great deal of difference to the person who hears that, hey, you can come through this, you can be hopeful, you can be optimistic about what you're going to face.
I've lived through a double lung transplant. I was 70 years old, a year and 3 months after. It did bring tears to my eyes, the emotions that you realize how thankful you are for my donor, my surgeons, and Florida Blue. When I'm working out, the feeling I get is beyond compare. My lungs just feel like they can expand until almost they explode. Maybe pain's not the enemy. Maybe pain's the reminder of how good everything is. I don't think there could be a stronger test of a health plan than a double lung transplant. What I feel good about when it comes to Florida Blue is they have carried me through the last year and 3 months, and I know that they have my back. I'm totally taken by the fact that I'm able to do physically and mentally what my new lungs have provided me. I've been given the gift of having a second try, so let's give it everything I can. I'm Ed, and this is my kind of blue.
Deanna Gracie is a longtime firm here in Delray Beach with our headquarters. We have offices in Orlando and Pensacola, a great professional in Miami, and another in Jacksonville. So we really have the whole state covered for your needs. We deal with a lot of doctors, a lot of big medical groups, a lot of small medical groups. We also are working in the behavioral health space and the surgery center space as well, helping a number of those folks. We've been at it a long time. We enjoy a great reputation. We have helped a number of organizations form their own purchasing groups so as to gain purchasing power. Among those are the Florida Orthopedic Society, the Florida OBGYN Society, our own Palm Beach County Medical Society, the Florida Nephrology Society, the Network of Florida Otolaryngologists, the Florida Gastroenterologic Society. We could just go on and on. The number of folks that we are associated with and have wonderful relationships with. So we encourage you to reach out, let us help you, let us find you the perfect policy at great savings if we can. And we are here just to assist you in working through this maze of insurance that so often becomes something that you'd much rather find a professional to help you with than just trying to shop on your own.
Hi, I'm Shelley Warticki with Fifth Third Bank, and it is such an honor to be sponsoring the Orange County Medical Society annual meeting. And I'm here to tell you about Fifth Third Bank's residential doctor loan program. It is for both new and established doctors or dentists. We will loan up to 100% of the value of your primary residence with no down payment. You pay only closing costs, and that is with no private mortgage insurance, so no MI. And thank you so much.
You might be wondering, what is a financial plan? And do I even need one? Well, no matter where you are financially, a plan can help you make the most of what you have, so you can live the life you've always wanted. Other companies don't approach financial planning the way we do. Our plans are designed around your life, your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Our advisors look at where you are now, where you want to go, and get you there with a financial plan as unique as you. It all starts with a conversation. Your advisor will answer any questions you have, and ones you never knew you had. They'll listen to what's important to you and help you prioritize it all. Then they'll look at what you're earning, spending, and setting aside. With your big picture in focus, your advisor will build a financial plan just for you. One where insurance and investment strategies work together to help you hit your next goal, and the one after that, and the one after that. And when your goals change along the way, no problem. Your advisor will adjust your plan accordingly. That way, you can focus on all the things that matter most to you today and every day after. Let's build your plan. Get matched with an advisor today.
Terrific. Thank you all very much for joining us for tonight's annual meeting. My name is Fraser Cobb. I'm the Executive Director of the Physician Society of Central Florida. Thank you very much for seeing through that quick recognition of our corporate supporters for tonight's program. Certainly we cannot do a lot of what we do throughout the year without their support. So just wanted to spend a few minutes recognizing them before we start tonight's program. Clearly we're doing this on Zoom. So I know y'all are very accustomed to using Zoom at this point. So we are going to ask you to use proper Zoom etiquette. So please try to leave your microphones on mute throughout tonight's program until you have a part to play, and then we'll go ahead and open up your microphone, or you can do it if you are speaking tonight, so we can hear you. But again, please try to monitor your microphone so we can minimize any background noise as we go through tonight's program. You did see some of our sponsors for tonight's event. You'll see them listed on the screen, and certainly wanted to thank them again for all of their support. You'll see Mended Hearts, Dana Gracie, Fifth Third Bank, Florida Blue, True Leave, Northwestern Mutual, and Angela McCloskey Group with Keller Williams Realty. We do have a virtual exhibit hall set up on our website too. So a little bit of a shout out to our communications manager, Diane, for putting together our virtual exhibit hall. You can browse that at your leisure. You have links to each of our vendors for our supporters for tonight's program, and those videos and contact information for them as well. So I encourage you guys to take a moment to thank our sponsors for tonight by visiting their web pages on our virtual exhibit hall. And with that, I'm going to introduce the current president of the Physician Society of Central Florida, our second president for this combined organization, Dr. Ryan Hall, who's going to officially welcome you. Dr. Hall.
Seems like about a year ago we were last all together, and I think that was the last meeting I attended in person. So it's been one crazy year. I'm going to recap a little bit, and I just want to acknowledge that most of the things discussed here is due to the hard work of our executive staff as well as our members. And to be honest, I probably did not have as much to do with it as I should have. So this is just an impressive organization that did a lot. For examples, we were able to get $14,000 in PPE donations, so we could try and provide protective equipment for private practice members who weren't able to get it through hospitals. Overall, we were able to get supplies that we were able to sell to our members, and we were able to sell about $70,000 worth of supplies. And our foundation was incredibly active. Even without being able to meet in person, we managed to have a virtual wine tasting with California. So as they say, opportunity and crisis are the same word. So I think this is the first time that we been able to actually visit a California winery while staying in Florida. And through that, we raised $6,000 that is going to be going towards the recently launched physician burnout program. So we have got that set up and launched. So if people are stressed or concerned or don't want to go through kind of normal channels, there's ways to get 4 or 5 counseling visits. Fraser's up on all the specifics, and it can be done anonymously. And and try and help keep us strong, especially during these challenging and distant times. There's been a lot behind the scenes. I know everybody is very interested in the COVID vaccine, and those of us who are affiliated with hospitals have been able to get it. For those of us who are in private practice, such as myself, a lot of us are still trying or to gain access or find access for our patients. The society has been very active, reaching out to the Orange County, Seminole County, Osceola County public health departments. A lot of work's behind the scenes. Unfortunately, at this time, it's just a supply and demand issue. And, we've had everything in place. We've got sites, we've got staff, we just don't have vaccine, but we are trying to move heaven and earth to do that. I also want to acknowledge some members. During a year when a lot of us couldn't get together, Dr. Mott and Dr. Hernandez got the needle exchange program through, which I think was quite impressive. And again, both of them have been leaders through the medical school system and other ways to try and improve the health of Orange County, basing it off of a lot of the models out of Miami. Along those lines, we've also had the PAC board meeting. And again, that's an issue that's near and dear to our incoming president. So I'm sure he will encourage and find ways for you to donate. We have the local PAC as well as the FMA PAC. Both are important, and I'd encourage you to give twice. I'd like to specifically mention Dr. Megan Kaur, who I think gets the Iron Seat Award because she sat in on every Zoom meeting with every legislator out there and showed a lot of dedication, made time in her schedule. And it's these type of things that we need to improve our position in the state as well in our county, and also to groom up and coming leaders. So again, thank you, Dr. Kaur, for your effort there. Along those lines, we also had the rollout of our mentorship project, and I apologize, I don't have all the numbers on that one off the top of my head, but I think we have over 20 people who volunteered and 20 mentors outside of the usual mentor chains for the 2 medical schools we have here. And I think that program's gone well, and several people have, met in person even during these times. I've not been that ambitious. I've only done phone contact with my mentoree, but I hope they haven't been too discouraged. And the last thing I just want to acknowledge briefly is, again, the incredible work that our members have done to keep us active and engaged in organized medicine, both through the FMA delegations. We had plans on trying to divide and conquer the committees, the councils, so I think we're set up for the next in-person meeting. But we've stayed active, we've stayed engaged. And in addition, we've also had several members from our organization who are our FMA representatives to the AMA National House of Delegates. And again, I'll get into trouble because I'll throw out a number, then realize I forgot someone, but we have, I believe, 5 to 6 members there. And again, it's Dr. Halpern, who I believe was his first year engaged with it, Dr. Cook, who's been up there for quite a while now, but has also been pushing for resolutions to get through. We also had Dr. Mott, who was up there with us. And again, if I mispronounce names, please forgive me. So we've got a very active delegation, and I think it's important, and also partly why I'm glad to hear from Dr. Bailey, who will be speaking later, to remind us that although all politics is local, there's strength in numbers, and that I'm glad that the AMA has graced us with their president to come talk to us tonight. So with that, I'm going to stop before I drone on too much. And again, I just want to thank Frazier and the rest of the staff. We couldn't do this without you guys. You've kept us organized, and to a large extent, you've kept us afloat and moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Dr. Hall. Do you want to go ahead and introduce Dr. Wolfe?
So Dr. Wolfe is our immediate past president. He is an ER physician, and I apologize, Darin, I don't think I have your bio right in front of me, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. One of the things I have learned through the joys of Zoom meeting is he has a wonderful little girl who occasionally photobombs his sessions. And he's always had wonderful wisdom and patience and kindness. And I've really appreciated getting to know him over the last couple of years and working with him. So for our immediate past president comments, I turn it over to Dr. Wolfe.
Hello, everybody. Really happy to be with you tonight. I wish we could be together in person, but really excited to see all your faces out there. And I'm really honored tonight. And I think honor can sometimes be an overused word, but really am honored to talk about the Dr. James Wood Hicks Lifetime Achievement Award, and also about our recipient tonight, Dr. Cecil Wilson. The board of directors for the Physician Society of Central Florida Foundation voted to create the Dr. James Wood Hicks Lifetime Achievement Award to recognize those physicians within Central Florida who have made contributions of significance to the local community throughout their medical careers. This award is named after Dr. James Wood Hicks. Dr. Hicks served during the Civil War as a surgeon. In 1875, he moved his family to the newly incorporated town of Orlando, Florida, and he became the city's first health officer of Orlando and served as the president of Orange County Board of Health. At the FMA annual meeting in Sanford that year, in 1885, he was appointed to the FMA's Committee on Ethics and became its chairman in 1886. He also served on the FMA's Committee on Medical Education. Dr. Hicks was elected as the 13th president of the FMA at their annual meeting in 1887. During his presidential address, Dr. Hicks cited the various fevers endemic to Florida and called on the legislature to take action. Subsequently, a massive and deadly epidemic of yellow fever occurred in Jacksonville during the summer and fall of 1888. In response to the FMA's urgent pleas, Governor Francis Fleming called the legislature into special session to establish the State Board of Health in February of 1889. Dr. Hicks belongs to the pantheon of physician leaders in the FMA who collectively were responsible for the creation of a statewide public health department that still serves Florida citizens and visitors today. The Society's foundation made the decision last year to name the organization's Lifetime Achievement Award after Dr. Hicks, thanks to his contributions to our local community and the entire state of Florida. Certainly honored tonight to announce that the Society's Foundation board has selected Dr. Cecil Wilson as the first recipient to this prestigious award. Dr. Wilson was born in Columbus, Georgia, and attended the medical school at Emory University in Atlanta. He interned at the U.S. Navy Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia, and completed his residency in internal medicine at the U.S. Navy Hospital in San Diego, California. Dr. Wilson served as the U.S. Navy as a commander and flight surgeon before going into private practice in Winter Park, Florida in 1971. He is a diplomat of the American Board of Internal Medicine and a member of numerous professional organizations, both locally and nationally. As many of you know, he was the American Medical Association president in 2010 and 2011, and also served for many years with the organization through his role in various committees and projects. In addition, Dr. Wilson also served as the president of the World Medical Association in 2012 and 2013, and president of the FMA back in 97 and 98. We're honored to say that Dr. Wilson also served as president of Orange County Medical Society back in 1990. Our time tonight would not permit us to name all the work Dr. Wilson has accomplished throughout his career, but there's no doubt he's worked diligently and tirelessly for our medical profession during his entire career. We're humbled and honored to have Dr. Wilson join us tonight and believe there's no one better fitted to receive the Physician Society of Central Florida Foundation Lifetime Achievement Award than he. Now, we've got a few testimonials and stories from some of Dr. Wilson's colleagues that we wanted to share with you tonight before we actually present him with the award. The first, Dr. Wilson is a statesman in medicine. I remember him being quite the parliamentarian at the FMA, exquisite skills, maturity, and wisdom. And that was from Dr. Kevin Sharon. Now, I also wanted to share a story from Dr. Stephen Rosenberg, who was also the president of Orange County Medical Society a few years ago. When I came down to Orlando to join the practice of Dr. Solomon Klotz, I was both a pediatrician and an allergist. I'd applied for staff privileges at Florida Hospital and traveled to Orlando from Pittsburgh for an interview. I first met with several administrators without any problems. I was then told I would have to visit with the chief of the Department of Medicine, Dr. Cecil Wilson. Being a pediatrician, I wondered why they wanted me to be interviewed by an internist, but I figured that this was the South and maybe they did things a little differently. Anyway, I traveled to Dr. Wilson's office, sat down, and had a rather long chat with him. Needless to say, Dr. Wilson was, as we all know, very courteous and pleasant, and I thought the interview was going quite well. Dr. Wilson then said, "May I ask you a question?" And Dr. Rosenberg said, "Well, yes, of course." And Dr. Wilson asked, "If you're a pediatrician, then why are you being interviewed by me?" I replied, "I have no idea, but I just didn't want to ask." We had a big laugh, and I was sent off to the office of Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, who was the chief of pediatrics at the hospital. And I think Fraser's going to play a testimonial from another one of Dr. Wilson's colleagues, Dr. Calvin Peters.
First of all, I'm flattered and pleased to have been asked to say a few words for the upcoming recipient of this Lifetime National Achievement Award presented by, I guess, the Central Florida Physicians Society. I first met Cecil just over 40 years ago, having moved here to Central Florida with my family, and soon became good friends with Dr. Wilson. I think we both recognized from the onset that we both had an interest in organized medicine. At the time when I met him, he was president of one of the local hospital medical staffs. And that was an interesting opportunity because back in those days, this goes back to 1979, 1980. In order to get hospital privileges, you had to belong to the local medical society. In this case, it was the Orange County Medical Society. Well, I must say, much of this is drastically changed today. And I'm glad I don't have to do this all over again. Anyway, Dr. Wilson pursued working within his medical specialty organizations, but primarily focused on his local, state, and national organizations. As we all know, Cecil became president of what was then known as the Orange County Medical Society, subsequently president of the Florida Medical Association, and then ultimately became president of the American Medical Association. This is quite an achievement. This is just a list of few of his many, many accomplishments. I just want to make a few comments about Cecil. Cecil is a kind and a caring doctor, as well as a very loving person. He's an advocate for improved health care when available, or available health care, and is highly recognized by his peers. Cecil has always been a hard worker and a team player. If anyone deserves this award, it is Dr. Cecil Wilson. He has dedicated his professional life to improving the delivery of quality health care for America. Congratulations, Cecil.
pleasure to speak today regarding Dr. Cecil Wilson. I've known Dr. Wilson for over 30 years, and he has always impressed me as the consummate physician and role model that all physicians, new doctors as well as students of medicine, of which frankly we are all students of medicine, but medical students, house staff, new physicians, minted and seasoned doctors can all take lessons from Dr. Cecil Wilson. My interactions began with Dr. Wilson way back when I first came to Orlando in the late 1980s. And I interviewed with him to get on staff at one of the local hospitals and found him to be a thoughtful and kind man, even before I interacted with him on a professional basis. Over the years, I've had the privilege and opportunity to consult on patients that he would send me. And his evaluations of patients were always thoughtful, and patients would rave about Dr. Wilson in terms of the care they received. I could only hope that they would feel the same way about me, but that's another matter entirely. Dr. Wilson has distinguished himself as a leader in medicine through the local county society, Florida Medical Association, the American Medical Association, the World Medical Association, and if there was a universal medical association, I'm sure he'd be the president as well. He's also participated, contributed to one of my specialty societies, the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, where he presented information which was well received, and again represented his perspicacious personality, ability to synthesize information, not just scientific, but the caring and emotional side of medicine, as well as understanding the trends of medicine and how best to deal with those trends and changes that all of us are challenged with. So in closing, I'm delighted and cannot think of a better person to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Medical Society for Dr. Cecil Wilson, and wish him continued success, many more years of contributing personally and professionally in our community. All the best.
So I think that concludes our comments concerning Dr. Wilson. So Dr. Wolfe, do you want to officially bestow the honor to Dr. Wilson?
Absolutely. Dr. Wilson, it's with great honor that we present you with the Physician Society of Central Florida Foundation Lifetime Achievement Award. You've inspired so many more people than you could ever imagine. Thank you.
Now, Dr. Wilson's going to share a few words with us as well.
Well, thank you for making me the recipient of the Dr. James Wood Hicks Lifetime Achievement Award. A special thank you for those who commented and for making me the first recipient of this prestigious award. I am most pleased, honored, thrilled, and humbled. And it's true of many Floridians. Dr. Hicks and I lived in a number of places before arriving at that special place, Florida. Like Dr. Hicks, as a physician, I felt it most important not only to provide medical care for patients, but to also be a part of the community and be involved in the goals of public health. How we arrange for the provision of healthcare to ensure that it is available for everyone. Like Dr. Hicks, we're in the middle of an epidemic. Back then, it was yellow fever, and now COVID-19. I came from Georgia to Virginia, to Okinawa, Japan, to California, and finally to Florida. On arriving in Florida, I became a member of the Orange County Medical Society. My initial involvement in organized medicine was as the president of the two medical staffs. The first was as president of the staff of Florida Hospital, now known as Advent Health. And several years later, as I was moving through the ranks at Winter Park Memorial Hospital, a competitor of Florida Hospital, separate, I can remember it now that on my arrival as president of Winter Park Hospital, the CEO called me in to tell me that he was concerned that with my previous experience at Florida Hospital, I could share information with Florida Hospital regarding Winter Park. I assured him that that would not be the case. However, 10 years ago, Florida Hospital purchased Winter Park Hospital, and it was certainly not because of anything I said. Subsequently, I was president of the Orange County Medical Society. Occasionally, I have some who ask me, what is the best, most important experience of my life in practice and organized medicine? My response is there are many, but I'll mention just three. First, in 1998, I was part of the group of officers that resulted in the merger of the American Society of Internal Medicine and the American College of Physicians, the two great internal medicine organizations in the country. This internal medicine society produced the largest specialty society in the U.S., and it was and is the largest medical society, only exceeded in numbers by the American Medical Association. The American Society of Internal Medicine, the smaller one, was focused on the political aspects of medicine related to our federal government. The American College of Physicians, the larger one, was the academic arm of internal medicine. Some of the challenges that were met as part of the merger were what would be the name of the new organization and whether it be a political action committee like the PAC. The reality is the American Society of Internal Medicine had a PAC, but the American College of Physicians was opposed. The agreement was that these two problems and others would be deferred for 5 years following the merger in order to come to a conclusion. So the temporary name of the new organization for the first 5 years would be American College of Physicians, American Society of Internal Medicine, go figure. In 2002, when I was chair of the Board of Regents of the new organization, the resolution was agreed to that the new permanent name would be the American College of Physicians, and we would have a PAC. So my congratulations to Orange and Seminole counties for the speed with which you arrived at the excellent name, Physician Society of Central Florida. Second, in 2010, I was president of the American Medical Association when the Affordable Care Act was passed with the support of the American Medical Association. This, for physicians and others, was viewed with favor, but also with disfavor. But for me, it was a positive and meant that tens of millions of people have insurance, making them less likely to be ill or to die prematurely. And third, 2013, I was president of the World Medical Association. This is an association of associations with one medical society per country, a total of 115 associations. I had the opportunity to travel around the world to every continent. Well, actually not Antarctica, since there were no medical societies in the South Pole. The WMA was founded in 1945 in the aftermath of World War II, when German doctors treated prisoners horribly with torture and experiments. They did it freely without pressure from the government. In other words, there's no saying to them, you must do this or you go to jail to be killed. Because of this history, one of the major purposes of the WMA has been and is to be involved with the ethics of medicine. And the first documents adopted were the Declaration of Geneva, it's like the Hippocratic Oath, and the International Code of Medical Ethics. One of the things I have found in my travels that medical ethics is very important to physicians around the world. Periodically, the International Code is revised, not because the ethics have changed, but because the environment has changed. There needs to be an interpretation of what it now means. So where am I now? My current life involves walking 4 miles per day, which has been my practice for decades. And recently, in the last 4 years, I'm taking piano lessons at Rollins College, also giving some lessons to the freshman class, music class, on maestros and their medical problems. And for now 7 years, I am a member of the University of Central Florida College of Medicine's admission committee. And when I interview applicants, occasionally I'm asked whether I enjoy what I am doing as a physician. and whether I would do it all over again if there were a choice. What I say is that for me, being a physician involved in the science of medicine, with the new treatments and devices that roll trippingly from the benches of our laboratories, providing us the ability to diagnose, to treat, to cure, to prolong life. Being a physician involved with my community to know my patients, not only in the office, but on Park Avenue, at church, at ball games, at the post office. Being a physician with the opportunity to help correct regulations and laws that hopefully improve healthcare. Because of this, I say right on. If I could start all over again, I would not change a thing. I'd go down the same road as I went before. Therefore, to the Physicians Society of Central Florida, once again, I say, thank you very much.
Terrific. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Wilson, and congratulations again on the recognition. With that, I'm going to ask Dr. Hall to introduce our first keynote speaker for tonight.
As Zoom just reminded me, I was still muted. So our speaker tonight is Dr. Susan R. Bailey, a distinguished allergist immunologist from the Fort Worth, Texas area, and is the 175th president of the American Medical Association. Dr. Bailey is a fierce advocate for physician autonomy in private practice and has held numerous leadership positions with the AMA, including serving as speaker and vice speaker of the AMA's House of Delegates, where her wit and humor was always appreciated. Chair of both the Advisory Panel on Women in Medicine and the AMA Council on Medical Education. She has also represented the AMA on the Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education, the American Board of Medical Specialties, and COLA. And don't ask me what the alphabet soup is on that one. I just know it's important for payments. Her dedicated service in organized medicine extends to the local and state levels, where she has served as board chair and president of the Tarrant, forgive me for pronunciation, County Medical Society, and vice speaker and president of the Texas Medical Association. Dr. Bailey has been an allergist in private practice for over 30 years. She completed a residency in general pediatrics and her fellowship in allergy at the Mayo Graduate School of Medicine in Rochester, Minnesota. Hopefully next time she can stop by Jack's. And has been awarded the title of Distinguished Fellow of the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. In addition to receiving her medical degree with honors from the Texas A&M University College of Medicine, Dr. Bailey was later appointed to the Texas A&M System Board of Regents by then Governor George W. Bush, and has been named a distinguished alumni of Texas A&M University and the Texas A&M University College of Medicine. And with that, I proudly present or introduce Dr. Susan Bailey.
Thank you so much for those kind words. I'm going to share my screen, although I'm not really sure I need to, but I will because it'll make me easier for me to advance the slides. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I bring warm greetings to the Physicians Society of Central Florida on behalf of everyone at the AMA. Thank you for inviting me to join you virtually tonight during this very special evening. Now, let me start by acknowledging the leadership of Dr. Ryan Hall this past year, as well as the incoming president, Dr. Charles Chase. I know beginning your term and ending your term in a pandemic was not at all what you had planned, but if there's anyone that can adjust to a change of plans because of a medical emergency, it is a physician. So physicians will continue to need the support of leaders like y'all, and everyone at the AMA sends their best wishes for the year ahead. I also want to take a moment to congratulate my friend, Dr. Cecil Wilson, AMA President a decade before me, as you heard, on receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Cecil, you have left an indelible mark on the practice of medicine, and I thank you so much for your continued leadership. It's great to see you. Everyone says hi. Physicians, nurses, and healthcare personnel on the front lines of the pandemic here in Florida and in every state continue to work tirelessly in the face of this very deadly virus. Our country owes all of you a great debt, and the AMA is here to help support you in any way that we can. This sign was displayed in Times Square earlier last spring at the beginning of the pandemic. And we are still incredibly grateful. People aren't talking about healthcare heroes now as much as they were, but don't worry. We know that you are all still heroes. But today I want to talk about the new phase of this pandemic that we've entered and highlight some of the ways that the AMA continues to support physicians during this very difficult time and discuss the steps necessary to prepare for the next crisis that will inevitably come. So let's start with vaccines. With the FDA's approval of emergency use authorization of emergency use of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, we have entered a new and more hopeful stage of the pandemic, mass vaccination. Now, the day of his inauguration last week, President Biden issued a host of executive orders. In fact, he still is. But they included launching a 100 days masking campaign, re-engaging with the World Health Organization, and coordinating a unified federal response to COVID-19, among several others. We support the new administration's efforts in fighting COVID-19, and we continue to call upon them to use the lessons of 2020 to once and for all bring this pandemic to an end. We have learned many things in our approach to COVID-19 in the past year, but one of the most important lessons is that 50 different states implementing 50 different responses to the same virus doesn't work very well. And so that's why our AMA urges the new Biden administration to implement a national strategy, providing the states with additional guidance and support to enable the rapid distribution and administration of the vaccines. We don't support the federal government taking over the efforts that are already underway, but it's clear that many states and local communities need some extra help. Like, for example, the federal government needs to ensure that each state has a good communication plan, a frequently updated website, for example, where physicians and the public can go to know exactly what's going on in their states. There needs to be contact information provided so physicians can get answers to our patients' questions. And so we hope the new administration, and we've asked this, that they reach out to states to secure their input, to listen and develop an open and transparent dialogue, as understanding what challenges states are facing on the ground and in real time is critical to providing states the support they need to make sure vaccinations are able to happen as quickly and as effectively as possible. And we hope the government will assist states to identify the gaps and work collaboratively to address these issues. Now, one of the most disturbing aspects of this pandemic has been that some leaders have politicized a medical crisis. Rampant disinformation online and the politicization of health issues have eroded public confidence in science and undermined trust in physicians and medical institutions. Now, though these trends have existed for decades, they have become particularly acute during the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, as the pandemic has unfolded, we've seen scientific advisors, sound medical advice, even physicians themselves demonized for political purposes. As healthcare workers, we find ourselves fighting a war on two fronts, caring for severely ill patients in a raging pandemic, while at the same time battling a public relations war that questions the legitimacy of our work and our motives. We cannot and we will not stand for this. We call on all elected officials to affirm science, evidence, and facts in their words and actions. We call on the media to be vigilant in communicating factual information from credible sources and to challenge those who choose to trade in misinformation. We call on social media platforms to advance evidence-based information from credible sources and reduce the spread of misinformation. We call on our health institutions to base decisions on scientific evidence, data, and equity. And we call on our government's scientific institutions now and in the future, to be led by experts, and for the actions of our governmental leaders to be guided by those experts and based on the best available evidence. Now, physicians, of course, are going to play a key role in vaccine adoption and in fighting misinformation. A strong recommendation from a healthcare professional is a key factor in encouraging vaccination. In short, if we trust it, our patients are more likely to trust it. So we have called for the utmost transparency in the vaccine development process and have urged the FDA to keep physicians actively informed throughout this process. That transparency must continue. We need solid safety and efficacy data on an ongoing basis so that we can address our patients' questions and concerns. We also must continue to build trust in vaccines, especially in marginalized and minority communities with historically well-founded mistrust in medical institutions and immunizations in particular. Now, we understand your need to have the best, most up-to-date information in this rapidly changing landscape. The AMA hosts a webinar series called Cleverly, What Physicians Need to Know. Recent episodes have featured leaders from the FDA and CDC talking about the vaccine development process and how the vaccine will be distributed. Transcripts and videos are available for viewing on the AMA's website, ama-assn.org. And in fact, our next conversation in this series will occur this week on Friday, as a matter of fact. It will be our fourth conversation with Dr. Peter Marks, who's director for the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research at the FDA. At every milestone in vaccine development, we've had one of these webinars and have been very, very pleased with the physician participation, the great questions and conversation that ensues. And we will continue to host these in the future. We really hope you'll join us. Since the beginning of the pandemic, our top priority has been delivering the tools and support that America's physicians need, and fighting for the resources all healthcare workers need to care for patients stricken with COVID-19. Now, the AMA has responded to COVID-19 in four important ways. First, by providing trusted, evidence-based resources and clear guidance to physicians on the front lines. Resources that can be accessed for free on our website, which you see again here, ama-assn.org. We've responded by helping physicians and practices recover from the disruption and the damage of the pandemic by pushing for loans and other forms of financial assistance and providing guidelines on how to safely open their practices. We've helped by pushing at the highest levels of government to deliver necessary equipment such as PPE and to reduce obstacles to patient care. And we've helped by advocating, as you've heard, for science-based, equitable policies on pandemic control strategies, testing, vaccine development, and distribution. We have an incredible amount of resources from the JAMA network, which has a comprehensive overview of the coronavirus, everything from epidemiology to infection control and prevention recommendations. And this is all available for free on the JAMA Network Learning website. Other resources include the AMA COVID-19 Resource Center and the AMA Physician's Guide to COVID-19, as well as managing mental health as we respond to the needs of our patients and our communities. I congratulate you for the work that you are doing in your community, helping physicians with burnout. Look no further for misinformation and confusion than the patchwork approach and controversy that we are still experiencing over wearing masks. Now, we know wearing masks and washing hands prevents the spread of COVID-19. We know physical distancing works. These facts are rooted in solid evidence. Now, regrettably, that message has become a lightning rod for controversy, unfortunately, which almost guarantees further out of control spread. The AMA launched a social media campaign this past summer that encourages everyone everywhere to hashtag mask up to protect ourselves and those around us until vaccines are widely distributed. Hope is on the horizon, and we need to get through the rest of this dark winter safely. Even as vaccines are being distributed, of course, we still need to continue masking and social distancing. And we really need to be able to explain this to our patients who might not understand why getting the vaccine doesn't mean they're done. PPE shortages, again, I commend your society for helping its members. Continue to be a problem. The burn rate of PPE and other medical supplies has been far greater than anything we have ever experienced and for a far longer time. And the need for PPE and testing supplies will continue for the foreseeable future. The AMA has repeatedly called for use of the Defense Production Act to provide personal protective equipment and other needed resources to frontline responders and physician practices. We are urging the same from the Biden administration, and we understand that this is a part of their COVID plan. So we're very hopeful to see what happens. We also partnered with a nonprofit Project N95 last year to secure hundreds of thousands of pieces for PPE for AMA members, guaranteed quality, unlike some of the what they call gray market PPE that's out there. And we helped develop codes for physicians to pursue payment for additional supply costs associated with caring for COVID-19 patients. But we're still hearing that many healthcare workers continue to reuse face masks that were designed to be disposable. Many practices have been impacted by their ability to acquire PPE, causing many practices to delay reopening and others to incur exorbitant costs for PPE. So our advocacy has been working nonstop for federal economic relief for physicians and for changes in regulations to make it easier to fight the pandemic. We worked hard to get emergency funding for physicians through the CARES Act. We secured broad telehealth expansion and improved payments at the federal and state levels to increase access to care through telemedicine and provide patients and physicians with a safer way to deliver and receive care. We created and are still creating new CPT codes. We've everything from antibody testing to a new vaccine delivery. We've urged the government to improve and expand testing. We've convinced the FDA and the CDC to reviews and revise guidelines for antibody and other COVID-19 testing based on validity concerns, reflecting guidelines issued by the AMA to help ensure physicians and the public are aware of the limitations and potential misuse of serological testing. And we encouraged private insurers to waive prior authorization requirements. I could talk all night about that alone. So what have we learned during COVID-19 and what steps must we take to ease physician burnout and stress during the next pandemic? And just in general, to just be ready for the next pandemic because we know it will happen. For starters, we need better coordination across federal and state governments. We need a better diagnostic testing infrastructure. We need processes for accelerated vaccine and therapeutic development into the future that are not under emergency use. We need enhanced state and federal stockpiles of supplies, including PPE, as well as a comprehensive data collection strategy. So before I close, let me once again say how grateful I am to all physicians, nurses, and healthcare workers in Central Florida who are fighting to bring an end to this pandemic. These past several months have been absolutely horrible, but it has truly shown us the best of organized medicine. I'm so proud of everything that you've been able to do and will continue to do in the months ahead. Thank you again for all of your efforts to advance public health at this most urgent time. Please know that we at the AMA will always have your back. Our November House of Delegates meeting is planned to be in Orlando this fall, hopefully in person by then. And so we would love to see you there if you're able to join us. Once again, thank you for having me. Congratulations to your new leadership and to Dr. Wilson, and best of luck for a successful year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Bailey. We do have a few moments for questions for Dr. Bailey. If anybody would like to unmute their phone line and ask Dr. Bailey a question.
I may start off with a simple one and a little trivia, but if trivial, but if we're going to be seeing you in Orlando, what's the code for the presidential suite so we can stop by?
Once I figure out what it is, I'll be sure to let you know. Unfortunately, I won't be president anymore. I'll be past president, but hopefully I'll get more than a tiny little room.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Bailey? If not, Dr. Hall, if you want to close with a special thank you while I pull up our next speaker's slides, that would be great.
So I'm going to close with a special thank you. And I know you have a lot of demands on your time, and I appreciate you coming and talking to our little county, which again, you're going to be coming to visit soon. And again, thank you for all the AMA's been doing for us and been active and trying to deal with the swamp of DC. And we know you've been there for a while and have done a lot of good work on multiple sides of the aisles on multiple issues to really make physicians' practice and life better. So again, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And with that, our next speaker is Dr. Patete. So I'll have Dr. Hall introduce Dr. Patete as I start to share his slides as well.
So Dr. Patete is the current FMA president. For those of us who were at the meeting last year, you may remember he also graced us with his presence then as well. He's an ear, nose, and throat specialist in private practice in Venice, Florida. He's board certified in otolaryngology, who also specialized in head, neck, and plastic surgery. He has been in practice for more than 30 years after earning his medical degree from the Lewis Katz School of Medicine at Temple University. Dr. Patete completed his residency at Jackson Health System. He has served organized medicine in many leadership roles, which include FMA PAC president, where he was notorious for encouraging donations with a baseball bat, vice president and secretary of the FMA, delegates to the AMA and FMA Board of Governors, District E representative, and past president of the Sarasota County Medical Society. Dr. Patete is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. And with all those S's, I feel like I should be saying Sally sells seashells by the seashore. But with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Patete. And again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate it. Back in October, the Board of Governors met virtually, and we were tasked with putting together a legislative agenda that's going to help the physicians in Florida, take care of moving forward out of this pandemic. Next slide there, Fraser. As you could see, a lot of impact on the physicians in the state of Florida, where a lot of people have lost practice revenue, staff was laid off, there was temporary shutdowns, and 4% of practices closed indefinitely. Next slide. We're going to look to see if we could get a one-time tax credit. I'll get to this one in a second. One-time tax credit, for physicians. We don't know how we're going to do that. But as the legislative session plans out and these various different bills come through, we're going to look for opportunities to make sure that the physicians can, take advantage of this. Everybody knows what's near and dear to the FMA's heart is that we raise Medicaid levels to Medicare levels. And with the pandemic, we have had a lot of people unemployed. So there's a lot more people on the Medicaid rolls. So we're going to be pushing that, we increase this. Now, it's going to look like an increase to the state budget. However, we all know that if we could keep these patients out of the hospitals, we're going to be doing better cost-wise. Next slide. That's the one-time tax credit. You can go to the next one. Now, a lot of these people have, lost their jobs. They've been cut to half time. They're having a lot of hard time, paying for their insurance premiums. So they're having difficulties, maintaining their insurances. And we're going to see how we can best subsidize these people so that we can keep people on the insurance roll so the physicians can get paid. Next slide. Telehealth reform, Dr. Bailey and the people up in Washington have done a wonderful job. This has saved a lot of physicians' practices, telehealth in our state. And we need to make sure that we keep this going. We need to make sure that we look back at telehealth reform and make sure that we get payment parity for having seen these people even as in person. And we're even going to revisit our own telehealth policies that were passed in the past. Next slide, please. State liability protections. I was just at a meeting in Lee County where Petronas, CFO Petronas was there, looking to make sure that the physicians in the state of Florida that work through this pandemic have protections available to us. As we all know, we are running without caps on pain and suffering, and we're running with a lot of different things that we had passed. It took 25 years to pass, and the previous state Supreme Court just, with one stroke of the pen took care of removing all that. So we're moving to see if we could get some of this liability placed back on. Next slide, please. Workers' compensation reform. This is interesting. We had just got word that we're trying to get an amendment onto a bill that is passing through, and that's the liability reform for businesses. And our amendment is not going to get placed onto this bill. But what we've been doing is we've been working strategically through the senators that are on these various different committees to get commitments to them to back and support our efforts to get the physicians placed on workman's comp as well as their staff if they contact or contracted COVID. As it stands right now, if you got COVID, they're going to say that you got it from the community, you didn't get it from work, even though as a family practitioner, anybody can walk through that door with COVID and pass it along, and anybody that comes in contact with that patient. So we're trying to get it to be the other way around. And I've gotten reassurances from 2 senators already that they like what we're doing, they like how we're doing it, and they're going to not throw it away. So this is something that's going to look pretty promising. Next slide, please. We're looking for the insurance companies' barriers to care to eliminate all the various different outliers for prior authorization, low value drugs, prior authorization transparencies. I mean, if we could get this to make sure it's prior authorization transparency and streamlining it, that would be like a win for us automatically. Step therapy, we're making significant steps in that direction to get that eliminated. This automation of the authorization process, and then we get rid of this retroactive denial. I mean, that would be huge. Next slide. We're trying to ensure the availability of personal protective equipment to get a stockpile that would be access to small physician practices. Next slide. Now you can see all these extended federal liability things. We have, through your FMA membership, been able to contract 2 federal lobbyists for us up in Washington, D.C. that have helped us to navigate the waters up there to help the physicians in Florida get what they need up in Washington, D.C. And we've been able to make changes to various different bills, such as the surprise billing legislation and the E&M codes, all the way up until the last day to make it favorable for the physicians of Florida. Next slide, please. As we all know, the general election was November 3rd. 120 House seats were up for re-election, of which there were 32 open House seats, and there are 8 open Senate seats during that election cycle. Next slide. What's really important here on this slide is what we actually raise. We average about $2 million being raised for the PAC to be able to come up with the things that we need to do to put people in place in the House, in the Senate, in the governor's office, in the Agricultural Commission's office, the state attorney, and the CFO. And we're doing it on just $2.1 to $2 million per election cycle. That's 2 years. Next slide, please. And you can see that pales in comparison to what the hospitals can, raise, as well as the healthcare plans can raise. And the trial attorneys, we beat them just a little bit. The optometrists, they raise almost $2 million this last election cycle, just for one issue, and that is to operate on an eye. Next slide, please. As everybody has been aware in the past, we get a lot of our people endorsed that will actually get elected. This happens with time, effort, money, walking, relationships with these legislators. We've got 120 House people that are up for re-election at this current time, and all 40 senators are going to be up for re-election during this particular election cycle in 2022 because of the fact of redistricting. And so redistricting is huge because we may have friends running against friends. And if anybody wants to know what a Senate race costs, it's anywhere between $1 and $8 million. Okay, this past Senate races have been able to make for a state House Senate seat. House races range between $800,000 and $1.5 million. So it's not getting any cheaper. And the reason it's not getting any cheaper because airtime isn't getting any cheaper. But, you know, we have local key physicians throughout the state to help us through this, endeavor. And, I encourage everybody that's on this particular call is to not just stay active locally. It's really important that you give to your local PAC. Sarasota County has a local PAC. We ask for just $100 in dues from our members. And what that does is that gives us enough money to be able to go throughout the state when we're doing local hard dollar events. And Fraser can attest to that because he's been to several of these hard dollar events, bringing money from various different PACs. And we raise money for these legislators for hard dollar events throughout the state. And this is a key moment that you guys can make a significant difference to what we can do. Next slide, please. As you can see, just to let everybody know, I've remained a $5,000 a year donor to the FMA PAC. I do commit $500 a year to the Sarasota County PAC. And the reason for all this is, like I said, I see where the dollars are going. I see the relationships that we're building. I see the coalitions that we're making, happen, and we're making a difference. And we're making a difference to the physicians in the state of Florida, so much so that we're putting together teams of fundraisers throughout the state to make sure that we keep our coalitions running and keep the people together and the networks going. You can text to donate at 850-400-2231. And I would encourage everybody to be able to do that. Otherwise, join fmapac.org. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, unmuted now. Again, I'll learn Zoom. Thank you, Dr. Patete, for coming and speak with us. Is there any questions or any kind of comments or things that would be good to share with FMA since Dr. Patete has graced us with his time? Not seeing anybody unmuting or leaping forward. Again, I just want to thank you. You have been a wonderful leader for the state. Ever since I've been involved with the local group in organized medicine, I've seen you at the meetings with energy in your sandals and doing good work. And again, thank you for all your help and guidance.
And Dr. Patete is not going anywhere because he's going to stay around and help us swear in our new president for your organization too. So we appreciate him following our tradition of having the FMA president swear in our new president. So you'll be hearing a little bit more from Dr. Patete later on in the program.
And the good news is we're actually on time with the schedule. So although it's a long night, we are moving along. And I think next on the schedule is the business meeting, which we are going to start with, I believe, a year in review video, just to, again, catch people up. And sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words, which will also keep us on schedule. So with that, I think.
Yep, with that, that is my role to start the video.
Yeehaw.
2020 was a year like no other as the Physician Society of Central Florida geared up to plan a year of social gatherings, meetings with our representatives, conferences, and fundraisers. Suddenly everything changed and we began to adapt to a new way of life that has lasted longer than many of us thought possible. Virtual became the buzzword for our organization, and we found ourselves navigating a new way of gathering with our peers in an effort to stay connected through the unexpected. The PSCF heard the cries from our members for PPE and quickly began working to secure inventory that could help our smaller physician offices stay open and continue seeing patients in a safe environment. The PSCF staff quickly learned about the art of taking orders, tracking inventory, and shipping product. Our partner Matchup Promotions was instrumental in the success of this project, providing a warehouse for PPE inventory, fulfilling orders, and getting those shipped out as quickly as possible. It's amazing what a community can do when they work together. Although the PSCF couldn't host gatherings and in-person meetings, we didn't let that stop us. Your board of directors became Zoom savvy, meeting more than usual to discuss the PSCF response to the pandemic. In addition, the PSCF hosted a virtual distance learning series from September through December, partnered with Orange County government to host the annual Physicians Healthcare Conference, virtually of course. Held the annual CME program online so our members could continue to get the CME credits they needed for licensure renewal, and just recently hosted a Tri-County coding seminar to help our member practices understand the new E&M coding changes. In addition, our physician delegates to the FMA participated virtually in the annual meeting over the summer, making sure that the voice of Central Florida physicians was still heard. Our political action committee conducted numerous phone interviews during election season, getting to know all the key candidates running for office, and made endorsements of those whom they felt would be advocates for our local physicians and their patients. The PSCF has also been working hard over the past year to set up 2 health insurance programs for our members that we hope will help them control this costly portion of running their practice. For larger practices, our self-funded health insurance program provides transparency and cost containment tools to let physicians take control of the health insurance benefits for themselves and staff members in a risk-contained environment. The PSCF has partnered with FBMC and Dana Gracie to create and manage this innovative program. For smaller practices, our co-op program through Florida Blue provides affordable health insurance to employees, physicians, and their families, and establishes a stable alternative to those carriers who often abandon the insurance marketplace. Through this health insurance co-op, participating physicians have the potential to share major profits, save money, and offset future rate increases. In addition to our new health insurance programs, the PSCF is also excited to announce its new partnership with the Greater Orlando Healthcare Guide to provide special recognition for PSCF members to the local healthcare community. This guide is a comprehensive listing of healthcare providers in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties and is used a minimum of 20 to 30 times every day by medical professionals. The guide has a readership of more than 180,000 through 8,000 printed copies and unlimited access to the e-publication and digital downloads, which are only available on the PSCF and Heritage Publishing websites. Members of the PSCF should be receiving a copy of this guide in the coming weeks, so please keep an eye out for it. With all the changes and programs for our practicing physicians, we should also note that medical students were hit hard by the changes of 2020. Many saw their classes go to remote learning and didn't get to participate in their clinical rotations. The PSCF saw a need for our local medical students to connect with physician mentors for encouragement, advice, and support now more than ever. Therefore, the PSCF mentorship program was created. This program paired up physicians of various medical specialties with local medical students. During its first year, our program was able to match 20 students and physicians together. Many have had to meet virtually, but some were able to meet up and even shadow their mentor in clinic. In addition to the strain this year has put on our medical students, the pandemic has placed an even greater burden of stress and anxiety on many of our practicing physicians. Many saw elective procedures cut at some point during the year, feared contracting the virus and spreading it to their loved ones, and worked endless hours to care for their patients. As the pandemic has dragged out, many physicians have felt the strain of burnout wearing on them. The PSCF Foundation responded with the creation of the PSCF LifeBridge Physician Wellness Program. This program was designed to address the seriousness of physician burnout in our community. The program is a resource for our members that is voluntary and confidential. Members can schedule up to 4 free appointments a year with our counselors through a confidential appointment line. The program is mindful of privacy and confidentiality, and no information is disclosed to others, including the PSCF staff. The program currently has 3 certified counselors that are available to meet in person or by phone. Members can call 844-234-LIFE to make an appointment. In order to fund the LifeBridge Physician Wellness Program, the PSCF Foundation held an annual fundraiser, virtually of course. On November 6th, the foundation hosted the virtual wine tasting event where members enjoyed bottles of wine straight from Napa Valley shipped to their door. The program was done over Zoom with a sommelier based out of Napa leading the tasting. There were also some fun trivia, music, raffles, and great prizes given away. The foundation ended up raising over $6,000 for the new wellness program during the event. Although 2020 didn't go anything like we had planned, we were stretched and strained more than we thought possible. We have come out the other side stronger and with hope for a new year where we can work together to improve the health of our community, lift up our colleagues, and go forward better than we began thanks to the experiences, trials, and tribulations of the past year.
Terrific. So thanks very much for letting us show that video. That was not my voice in the video, just to clarify for everybody. That was trained professional assistants that we got for that. But it's my pleasure now to run through a couple of business meeting slides before we get into the rest of our program. Again, this is our annual business meeting where we provide you an update on the membership and finances of the organization. Currently, you'll see we have 417 current PSCF members. We have 115 new members that joined in 2020. So the word is definitely getting out there, and we appreciate all of our members that have been helping us spread the word to encourage more physicians to come back or join the Physician Society of Central Florida for the very first time. So we appreciate that forward growth that we have been able to achieve through a number of the programs and services that you've heard this evening. You'll see our finance report. It's our current balance sheet. We have $83,000. I know that's a little hard to read. About $84,000 in the bank, having turned a slight profit in the past year. You'll see the financials that's as of our due cycle year from September 1st of 2020 to where we are currently. Our total income is $58,000, total expenses $56,000. So again, a net income of just about $2,000. So we are a lean, mean organization, and certainly appreciate all we can do with the limited resources we have to make sure we forward medicine in the community. One big effort, as we've heard a lot about PAC activity over tonight's meeting, Physician Society of Central Florida does have a PAC. This is the next version of the Orange County Medical Society PAC that changed its name along with our organizations as our counties came together. Dr. Hall mentioned that our leadership was very active during the 2020 election cycle. We ended up getting engaged in 13 local races for the Florida House and Senate. And actually we had a 100% win rate. So all 13 of our endorsed candidates did end up winning. That included 4 senators and 9 members of the Florida House. So we have done a great deal to cement relationships that will provide avenues for us to forward our legislative agenda during the coming years, and certainly wanted to share Dr. Hall's appreciation for the PAC board members that were able to participate in so many of those interviews throughout that election cycle. So with that, Dr. Hall, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about the annual medical student research competition.
Alrighty, so I think I got it turned off. So we're continuing with the research. We've got several abstracts that were submitted. Just for the sake of time, a lot of these were already looked at and graded previously. I believe there's going to be some way, and Fraser can help correct me, that if people are interested in seeing the posters, there should be a way to do that later. But
that is correct. Yeah, so we have sent certificates and award checks to the winners we're announcing this evening, and we are hoping we're going to be able to have an in-person event over the coming months where we'll have a venue for this research to be presented and recognized by our membership.
So again, I apologize if I mispronounce any names. First place went to Nathan Kostick, University of Central Florida College of Medicine, for the brain stethoscope, a non-invasive technique for remote detection of elevated intracranial pressure. Second place went to Ashwari Gulani, and I believe he's on the call. I saw some of his tweets earlier, so thank you for being part of the mentor program, and thank you for submitting. And again, I apologize if I mispronounced the name. His was on delayed anterior chamber inflammation reaction from a cataract surgery packed debris. Third place was Kevin Reyes, Florida State College of Medicine, tinnitus, the cookie bite audiogram, and the relationship of serotonin as a provoking factor. Considering I'm a psychiatrist, seeing the word serotonin really excited me, so I was hoping for a better showing, but other judges were not psychiatrists, unfortunately. Honorable mentions was William Butler at FSU College of Medicine for there's a reason why I did not go into certain surgical fields. Acculogyny on the spectrum of obsessive compulsive disorder. And then Tammy Phillips, UCF College of Medicine, comparison of learning outcomes in novice surgical trainees performing fasciotomies using a simulator and video. And Kyle Sanchez, UCF College of Medicine, fistulas as a mechanical cause of pneumonitis. As I said, nobody wanted to be my anatomy lab partner. I could not pronounce a thing. So anyway, those were our college medical student research posters. And again, hopefully at a later meeting, maybe in April, if everybody's vaccinated and all goes well, or the summer, we'll be able to have the posters up for people to view.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Hall. And it's now my pleasure to present the nominating committee report for the slate of board of directors and officers for 2021. This is a component of the evening where we have a little bit of crowd participation, as we will need a motion and a second to approve the slate for next year. Also, at the conclusion of the nominating committee report, once approved, we'll be inviting Dr. Patete back to assist me in the swearing in of our new president. So before we get started, just wanted to echo the thanks from a staff perspective for all the work the current board has done this over the past year. We've had a great team partnership between the staff and the leadership of the organization, have achieved a great deal over a difficult 12 months. So just wanted to provide that recognition under Dr. Hall's leadership and just share our appreciation for everything that we've accomplished. With that, this is your nominating committee report. So the proposed slate of officers for president, we have Charles Chase, President-elect Samuel Jean, Vice President Srinivas Sila, Treasurer Hao Mimi Tran, and Secretary Ademola Adewale, and immediate past president would be Ryan Hall. Your at-large members, and this is in order of seniority as the anticipation is operating in a leadership line where the at-large will move up into the officers over time. The 6 at-large members on the nominating committee report recommendation is Sanjay Patani, Larry Halperin, Ben Kaplan, Jessica Ofant, Mark Trollis, and Andrew Cook. And then our regional representatives, as we came together as a regional organization, we want to make sure we had balanced representation throughout the community. So for the north, we have Pooja Agarwal. On the south, we have Carrie Hernandez. In the east, we have Lena Anderson. West, we have Jocelyn Pichardo. And central is Megan Kaur. So those are all of the board members and officers that do get elected by the membership. So having presented a nominating committee report, I'd like to ask if there's a motion to approve that report in a second.
To approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. So I guess this is the one time tonight you can break Zoom rules and unmute your line. So all in favor of accepting that slate as presented, say aye.
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 All right. Those opposed, say no. Terrific. Congratulations to new board members and the new officers. I did want to let you know we do have several other positions on the board that are by appointment. You'll see our medical school deans are both on the board of directors. So Dr. Deborah German from University of Central Florida and Dr. Joan Meek from the FSU College of Medicine. We also have 2 medical school representatives evenly balanced between UCF and FSU. So we have Ashwari Gulani and Daniel Schaefer. And then we have a layperson that's been appointed as well, Mr. Tim Giuliani, who is the president and CEO of the Orlando Economic Partnership. And we're really looking forward to his contributions to the board in the coming year. And I think we can definitely develop some good ties or additional ties with the business community through engagement with Tim and his contributions to the board as well. With that and having our officers elected, I am going to ask Dr. Patete to unmute your phone line and lead us through a swearing in of Dr. Chuck Chase.
I was telling Chuck, they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to get him in, huh? Sorry.
Very true.
It was a joke, all right? Chuck, it's my pleasure to administer the PSCF Presidential Oath of Office. Do you solemnly swear to carry out the duties of the President of the Physicians Society of Central Florida to the best of your ability, striving constantly to maintain the ethics of the medical profession and to promote the public health welfare, dedicating yourself and your office to improving the health standards of the people of Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County, Florida, and to the task of bringing increasingly improved medical care? If so, say I do.
I do.
Will you uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the Physician Society of Central Florida, Florida Medical Association, and American Medical Association at all times? If so, say I will.
I will.
To these duties and obligations, do you pledge yourself? So help you God. If so, say I do.
I do.
Congratulations, you are officially installed as the third president of the Physician Society of Central Florida.
Thank you, Mike.
Congratulations, Dr. Chase. If you want to go, go ahead and proceed with your comments, that'd be great.
Well, I'd like to start with the fact that I'm honored to serve as the next president of the Physician Society of Central Florida. I'm looking forward to working with everyone. This just a great group of people. My wife has given me 2 minutes to talk, so I will keep this brief. I wanted to thank our distinguished guests, Dr. Bailey and Dr. Wilson. I wanted to thank our administrative staff, Fraser, you're awesome, Tanya, Carrie, Diane, and everyone that's worked with us over these past few years. I want to thank Dr. Patete. Thankfully, we're out of reach of his baseball bat, which he usually uses to solicit PAC donations. But thank you, Mike. You're awesome. I want to thank Dr. Hall for all his hard work this year. He's had to deal with the fear of COVID-19 and the discomfort of wearing masks all the time and the isolation we have in social distancing. So psychiatry was really the perfect profession for our president this year. Now I'm an anesthesiologist, so we're probably going to end the year either asleep, numb, or maybe a bit gassy. So we'll see. Now, lastly, my goals for the next year are to make sure that all the members of our society and their staff get vaccinated for COVID-19. Also, we have to fight those scope of practice battles that are going to be coming up in the legislature. I'm not sure if everyone knows, I think we've all heard it before, that the most dangerous season in Florida is not hurricane season, it's the legislative season. So I'd like to thank you all for your attention. And thank you, Fraser. I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chase, and congratulations again. I always get choked up during those ceremonies, which I did again today. It never fails. But just thank you for your service to the organization over the years, and we look forward to a great year with you at the helm. With that, before we let you go, a couple additional housekeeping items. Again, thank you very much to our sponsors and their support for making tonight's meeting possible. So we do encourage you to visit our website, where we do have a virtual exhibit hall set up where you have contact information and additional materials for each of our corporate sponsors for tonight. And we encourage you to do that. Also, we've made a couple plugs throughout the evening to consider donations to the PSCF Foundation. So the foundation has one of the fancy text to donate lines as well. So if you want to text Healthy Docs to 474747, you'll have that opportunity to contribute to our LifeBridge program. And again, the foundation is the organization that hosts that LifeBridge Physician Wellness Program for the organization. So that is live. We are doing what we can to spread the word throughout the community of the availability of that wellness program. So we want to make sure you're encouraging your colleagues if they are experiencing early signs of burnout and need to talk to somebody, that we have a solution for them. We do provide those 4 free sessions each year. So we definitely want to spend the money that we're raising because it's going to go to help our physician members. So please help us spread the word and encourage your colleagues to use that service if needed. Also, again, we do need to continue to support our political action committees. So there's a couple links here for you to donate to the FMA PAC as well as the PSCF PAC. So I believe our great staff is putting that in the chat box right now, so you guys can copy and paste those links to consider a contribution as well. So with that, is my duty as your staff to wish you all a great night. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again to Dr. Hall. Congratulations to Dr. Chase as our new president. Congratulations to Dr. Wilson for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And a very special thank you to our main speakers tonight, Dr. Bailey and Dr. Patete. And with that, we wish you all a great evening and to the very best 2021 we can all imagine. So look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frazier.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Night, everyone.
So
Thank
you might want to
you.
mention also to keep your calendar open for the second Tuesday of every month, every other month, starting in February. We'll try to make our meetings a little bit more, online and at least for the time being, and just so you can put it on your calendar. So block out that second Tuesday of every other month starting in February.
That is correct, yes. And those are our board meetings. We're going to start getting on a routine schedule so everybody can count on those dates where we're going to have those board meetings. So it's a little bit easier for your schedule. So with that,
all right. Thank
we
you,
can be
guys.
adjourned.
Good
Yep.
night.
Hope you all have a fantastic evening.
Night.